Welcome everybody to Capes and Scowls West. Issue 14. What's in?
14. Oh my gosh, we're like so in puberty right now.
We're
so
so
hard.
mature, guys.
Yeah,
So
I know,
mature.
exactly. We're gonna start growing facial hair and get crushes and
Ew, girls,
probably
wait.
girls. Yeah.
I am one of your hosts, Nat, and this is.
And I am Patrick.
And then it's Cat in the hat.
Well, you can call me Pat since Nat and Cat and Pat. I don't know. That sounds like a thing that it should probably be.
Yeah.
But, whatever.
Yeah.
We'll let the internet decide.
Yeah. That's
The
what we normally do.
internet is really, really. Okay, anyway.
Okay, we have no time for this.
We have no
because
time.
so much
There's
news.
so much news.
Focus, everybody
so
focus.
much news.
Focus.
All right, go. Boom.
Sure.
News.
Okay. So Ryan Johnson, director of Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi, is not doing Star Wars Episode 9 because he's doing his own Star Wars trilogy.
So is this going to be a trilogy in like alongside the Star Wars movies that's already coming out?
So,
or are they going to
There's
just,
been
Are we
public
going from
statements.
like 10 to 12?
yeah.
Well, that's the thing. There's been statements that the Episode 9 will end the Skywalker saga. Like that is supposed to be the end of that time frame. And Kathleen Kennedy made a mention that what Ryan is working on is an area of Star Wars lore that has not been explored before. Now, what that means could be just about anything because
I read some of the new books, so I'm like, that's limitless.
yeah, exactly. And then on top of that, you're dealing with the fact that Legends is not canon anymore. So this is Star Wars canon working on anything. So stuff that was in Legends before could still be unexplored areas that have never been handled before. So we could see Old Republic is what everybody keeps coming up with, like the formation of the Jedi would be the story that Ryan would be telling. But I mean, we're so
That
early
would
in the
be
announcement,
so kick-ass, and I would be down for that.
right?
Like yesterday.
Yeah, I know. I would totally if you're gonna have somebody who's especially a dark writer the way Ryan Johnson is. Now, mind you, we haven't seen The Last Jedi, so we don't know if that is going to live up to all of the hype.
So fun fact, I actually saw the trailer for it finally because I had to go see. I saw Thor,
Right.
and it was in that. I was a little salty about that because I'm like, I'm going in blind.
And then you're like, oh, the trailer's right there.
Yeah, and I'm like, well, I can't go anywhere. And then I was kind of like held to my seat too, so I'm like, I really can't go anywhere.
I think this is exciting, and this is supposed to go alongside the announcement that there's going to be a live-action Star Wars series on the Disney streaming service as well. So,
Dude, that streaming service, man, they're trying to pick up speed so fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw within 2 days that they dropped they basically took all their rights back from Netflix and then also greenlit 4 shows.
All existing Netflix Disney co-production properties will stay on Netflix and their spin-offs. They will still be there. So we'll still have Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Punisher was even named.
I would honestly say give them 2 years when they actually get it up and rolling.
Yeah.
They're going to take them back.
Well, I doubt we're going to see production on new seasons that aren't already in production until the service. Because 2019 is supposed to launch Disney services. What do you guys think about the Ryan Johnson trilogy, though? Like the potential for something that is completely outside of the Skywalker lineage or something outside of that. But 3 big films.
I don't care about Star Wars.
At all. Did you see the movies at all?
Yeah.
I mean, I like Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry about Star Trek, it was gone, but,
Yeah.
but,
Oh, girl. I will make you gone so quickly.
but,
That sounded
I don't-
terrible.
That did sound pretty bad.
good talk, everybody.
Wait, moving on.
I don't know, I'm sitting here, the thing is anymore is, Disney is so good about just pumping out movies, and there comes a point where I'm like, we done?
Yeah.
And I'm kind of getting scared that that's what they're going to do with Star Wars, is just
That's what they said they were going to do from the beginning of the new thing. They said they will make a movie every year until people stop seeing them.
Yeah.
That is almost verbatim what the executives said. So they don't give a fuck about how good they are. Until the box office is not making as much money as the production of those movies, they will continue to make them.
Well, we may see that next year because of the reshoots for Solo. they may hit a film that does not make its production budget back. They're talking now that 80% of the movie may have been reshot with Ron Howard, so that's all rumors. That number will never be officially released. How much was actually reshot, but I don't know. I'm excited about a new Star Wars trilogy, especially if they go into the mythology. If they get to say like
I would like that. I mean, there's like, it sounds stupid, but there's like some of these Star Wars books where there's like actual zombies, and if they did that, I'd be down for that too.
Right? That's the thing, is like there's corners of the Star Wars universe that have not really been tackled as part of canon, and so these super high production budgets lend themselves to really magnificent visuals on screen. That's really great to sit there and watch, and a lot of times they're popcorn or they're deeper than that. There's so much to it, but. All right, well, that's my first piece of news. Patrick, you want to?
I mean, if you're still talking about Disney, I can go too, because since we mentioned their streaming service.
Yeah. All right, hit it.
So Disney is trying to take 21st Century Fox, and there's like arguments over why they're trying to do it. They're like, oh, it's for Marvel, and they're like, no, it's for their streaming service, because if they get 21st Century Fox, they start to be a huge competitor with Netflix.
Yeah.
A huge one. And Disney, they want to be number one at everything.
Yeah. Well, they have the money to do so.
Oh, yeah.
There's been some conflicting reports about what exactly was the quote-unquote talks.
Yeah.
And talks have stagnated, or the talks have ended. I've actually heard that it was specific properties that they went in there with. That it wasn't, well, for one, they can't acquire Fox News. Like, that is actually a key part of the deal. If anything were to happen, because once they do that, they're considered a monopoly because of the way that the system is structured.
Yeah. But also, who would want Fox there?
Yeah, that's the other joke. Why would you want that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you want to pay like an equal amount of money for a service as you will for like their sexual harassment lawsuits, then like
that's everyone in Hollywood right now, though. I'm just saying.
I don't know, but I think putting Mickey Mouse behind the counter of like the news desk would be
Fox and Friends.
Hey
kids, let's talk about how the wall should get built.
Yeah, exactly.
Content.
you think about it and you're like, I'd watch that show.
Let's talk about how we should have no gun control, kids.
Ooh.
Everyone gets a gun.
We're not going to go this dark down
the
dark.
We're not going to go the mouse hole. Sorry.
All right, you know what?
I think it's a combination of those two things, though. The idea that getting Marvel properties back would be a huge boon, especially Marvel Studios and Disney hasn't announced what Phase 4 is in the cinematic universe. And there's been a lot of rumors that they've been trying to do something like this for a long time to make it the Fantastic Phase 4. So Fantastic Four being back at Marvel, which would be a huge boon, and that would give you a new set of characters.
Keep killing it.
Right, exactly. Fantastic Four cannot work as a movie under other studios.
Well, the funny thing is Rob Liefeld, the guy who created Deadpool, he actually wrote a letter to 21st Century Fox telling them not to sell.
Yeah, but nobody should listen to Rob Liefeld.
They say that. The thing is like I got a copy and pasted. It says, "Dear Rupert, hi James and whatever the other son."
As in Rupert Murdoch.
Whoever owns 21st Century Fox.
Okay, so I believe it's Rupert Murdoch.
It's your buddy Rob. Wait on any further talks until Deadpool 2 opens and does $1 billion in X-Force. This is your Star Wars franchise, and you've only scratched the surface. Everyone on the film side has kicked it into overdrive. Watch the portfolio grow. All the best, Rob.
There's so much about that I don't like. Number one is, fuck are you, Rob Liefeld, at this point in time? Really? You're going to say that because you created Deadpool, you have any stake in this?
Well, he's actually been going around sitting and saying that because he's not a fan of Disney for whatever reason. I couldn't really find the reason. I think it's because they scheduled the Han Solo movie to come out a week before the Deadpool movie for whatever reason, and so he's like throwing it. He's like, well, they'll be great the first week, and then the second week Deadpool's just gonna kick its ass, and I'm just like, I don't.
Yeah. He really
I
should
mean-
watch what he says too, because he just had a Deadpool prestige format graphic novel come out via Marvel, whose parent company is Disney. I just
Well, speaking of Deadpool, I actually saw they just came out with the first poster, like, for Deadpool 2.
okay.
Actually, it was, like, basically, like, Thanksgiving style with all the characters
I saw
sitting
that.
around a table,
Yeah.
like, really shittily, like, CGI'd
Oh, really?
to, like, the table. I mean, if you look at it, like, it's obvious that, like, they're not there. Like, it's just all the characters, basically, from the first movie, you know? And, like, just, like, CGI'd around, like, a table with, like, Deadpool and Cable serving the turkey.
Ooh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
And now this is the question leading into the potential
Mhm.
buyout, is if Marvel, Disney got the rights to those characters, Deadpool included, could they do these hard R? Would they do these hard R? And would they have
So,
that sort of
I
marketing?
kind of read a little bit about that too, and they were saying that most likely
That
what
would
would
also kill
happen.
my plot for a Gwenpool movie in which she breaks into Sony to steal back the rights to Deadpool so that he can be in her movie.
From what
That
I
would be great for a movie, actually.
Wouldn't it, though?
from what I kind of looked, they were speculating that they would let 21st Century Fox kind of keep their mojo going on that because they're more family friendly, and they always have been because it's Disney.
Yeah.
So.
You know what they could do to like
Disney's done some hard R stuff before.
Well, here's the thing: we have underneath Disney.
I'm pretty
we have
sure that they
Pixar.
would reboot X-Men though.
Yeah, that would X-Men and Fantastic Four would be completely overhauled.
Mm-hmm.
They have Pixar. They have Marvel Studios. Who's to say they wouldn't come up with something that like was a subsidiary name? So like whether or not they call it Searchlight. And so it's like Searchlight Pictures is what Fox was under the Disney banner. So I mean, you don't even really see the Disney logo when you watch the Marvel films, except the very end credits. But it's not like you don't see the star, the shooting star over the castle kind of stuff. So this could be more of a behind-the-scenes deal with taking the properties and then cherry picking the stuff that they want to integrate into the MCU. Because it may be better for something like Deadpool to not be integrated, but to have the opportunity.
Just to have him show up in something, honestly.
Well, how hilarious would it be having Captain America and Deadpool with the no cursing thing? It's like, watch your language. Actually have Chris Evans
that
be
would
able
be
to say that stuff.
that would be wonderful, and I would be on board for that.
Yeah.
Or like Tony Stark trying to be all, or Spider-Man trying to be all like sarcastic and dry and stuff, and then Deadpool comes in and both of them just getting pissed off at him, like
Right?
like actually like, silly, or not silly, but like witty he is, I guess.
It's gonna be really fun. Yeah, we'll see.
They're just talks right now. I know that they've kind of like the hush has fallen over the field.
Right.
Yeah.
I have a feeling Disney went at it big,
Oh yeah.
overwhelmingly big, to have a counter offer come back. That's going to be the key elements that they really want.
Oh yeah.
Like I said, a lot of it. I mean, like I said, there's counter arguments, but some of it sounds like they're also trying to do this to acquire it, so their streaming service in 2019 just basically plows over Netflix.
I don't think that they'll plow over it, but I certainly think it's going to be one of those things where
they want to be a huge competitor.
Yeah.
They want to take money.
It may
may straight
still-
past Amazon Prime and Hulu.
Yeah,
to be
that's
honest.
exactly.
Yeah, that's what
they
their
want.
attempt is. They want to compete with Netflix because I
They
think
want-
Netflix is still the number one.
This
They want to
would-
be the Pepsi to Netflix
Uh-huh.
Coke.
Yeah.
And, like fuck RC Cola. And
Yeah, right.
Sam's Club Cola. You know.
RC Cola was good,
It is, but nobody knows what it is.
right? That's like Hulu. That's Hulu in the next 5 years.
Yeah, that's Hulu in the next
Hulu's
5 years.
really great. What is Hulu?
You watch?
I
You watch
mean,
Hulu? That's like such a weird East Coast
the
thing.
last, it's one. I mean, whatever they're like Netflix and chill, and then the one stupid thing, Hulu and commitment. No one wants Hulu and commitment.
That's hilarious.
I heard Hulu and Hangout. That was the
See, I heard Hulu and commitment.
Hulu and Hangout.
No,
It's
it's
because there's
Amazon,
commercials. You actually
Amazon Prime and commitment.
Yeah, that's a commitment.
But everybody has
Well,
it.
Okay, so
Anyway.
to get back on news stuff, I saw that the Library of Congress is going to, on November 18th, they will be opening a the title of the exhibit is Drawn to Purpose American Women Illustrators and Cartoonists.
That's awesome.
So it will be a tribute in the Library of Congress to specifically American women in illustration and cartooning for comic books.
Jill Thompson and Amanda Connor.
Yeah,
Two names that just stick out for me.
I
love
didn't really
Amanda Connor.
I didn't really see who was actually going to be like in the exhibit, and I don't plan on going to DC anytime soon.
Right,
so
but it's really cool.
that would be really cool. Yeah.
Field trip.
Right.
Yeah.
But just like take a camera. See guys, look. As we're getting tackled by security
my
guards.
God.
Yeah.
So cool to go there though.
Oh my gosh, that would be really awesome to see. Honestly, I would still have yet to go to the Library of Congress.
I'm rolling through the artists in my head. I'm like Becky Cloonan, Babs Tarr. Like these are the current working
Yeah.
women in comics right now. So
Yeah.
they're fantastic. They're fantastic.
Yeah.
You could give me just a Jill Thompson exhibit, that'd be fine. You know, like honestly.
Anybody see Nat?
Yeah.
Nah.
He's at the watercolor section. That's fine.
He'll be alright. He'll come out eventually.
He still hasn't moved past A for
Yeah,
animation.
right. Yeah.
All right,
Right.
so that was just a quick thing. Like,
pretty
not
cool,
really a
though.
whole lot to say. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's really awesome. Honestly, I mean, it's 2017. The fact that that's still awesome is kind of sad.
Yeah.
But like,
Let's not even talk about it. Honestly, right now, 27. I feel like 2017. We're like walking forward, and then with all the stuff that's coming out lately, we're like, yeah, back it up, back it up.
You know what? I will counter that. I will say that we are walking forward, and all of the information that is coming out is like, wow, we've really been back here when we thought we were here. So,
yeah, it's a 2 steps forward, 1 step back kind of situation.
yeah, like
I
we're doing a
mean-
little jig, is what it is. It's like
or like it's
then
like
it's back.
Speaking of
it's like we
horrible,
think we've taken 2 steps forward, and really it's just 1 step.
Yeah.
Speaking of horrible Hollywood news, then I got the gossip for everybody.
Ooh.
So this Smallville star has been accused of being a part of, and actually quite high in said cult. It's a sex cult.
What
So-
what kind of sex cult?
Well, let's
though?
clarify too. This is Allison Mack,
Yeah.
one of the female leads
Mhm.
of Smallville.
So she's been connected to a controversial sex cult. I think it's pronounced Nexium, but she's in like a subgroup, and that's where the crazy sex cult comes in. So it's like a smaller niche.
For those of us that don't know much about sex cults, you'll have to explain this to us, Kat.
So basically, the thing that's being said about this cult in specifics is the leader. So the women will do like little classes and to help them with whatever it may be, and they lure them in that way. And there has been accusations of branding women. There has been accusations of them telling them or having them give up like nude photos of them. So if they release any sort of information, they have blackmail on them. There are these accusations floating around that the leader himself is in control and actually makes the women have like near starvation diets to keep them the way that he likes them looking. Now the fun part to this is Allison Mack is apparently in his harem, and she's the like top harem bitch. Basically what it is. So she's actually semi in charge of these women and telling them, this is how your diet is, this is what you're doing. But yeah, the branding thing really kind of, like literal brandings. Like I read an article about a woman.
I get what you're saying. Like
I
you
read
don't
an
have to
article.
explain to me what branding
There's
is.
such a level
Well,
of
no, so-
discomfort like in the room right now. It's like
So the thing was, I read an article
yeah, you
about
can
it
cut
because
it from life.
I didn't know about this, and I read, and there was a woman explaining like they thought they were just maybe getting tattoos, but no, she would actually like there was like a group of women that she was with, and she would hear/smell what was going on. Yeah.
Oh,
Like-
Jesus. Fuck. Oh.
Yeah. Like, this is like, honestly, I have seen some Smallville episodes, and I'm like, you are not like your character.
Ooh.
Like, this shit's intense. Like, this
Yeah.
is like really, really bad.
This is one of those, and this is gossip and rumor at this point in time. When you hear
She's been-
details like that, it's like, oh, this is uncomfortable. Like,
Even if it
She's
is
been
gossip.
connected to the leader, and that's like the biggest thing. Is I know right now that the like I said, he's that smaller niche, and they're investigating it.
even if it is gossip and rumor that she is specifically a part of this sex cult, like now, like you know that the sex cult exists,
Yeah,
and
that's
it's
true.
doing things like this, and so like even if
There's
she
been
were not
multiple women
connected
who have
to it,
come out with this stuff too, not just the one article that I've read. Like,
yeah,
this shit's bad.
We're in
Yeah.
a weird place because it
And
sounds
it's
like
like-
the plot of a comic book, not actual real
and it's
life.
like you
Yeah,
never
right?
think never think about that stuff, but like when it's brought up like that, you're like, oh yes, of course that probably exists somewhere in this
Yeah.
country.
Well,
Because
apparently
why
one
would
of
it not?
a woman from Dynasty, her daughter is involved in this, and that's I think what really started the ball rolling on it. So, and then that came
Jesus.
to light, and I was just like, what is going on in this world?
Yeah, that's
Jesus.
I think that's probably the cap on that. It's like, what the hell is going on? Like,
I'm like, I don't really know if anything else can happen, but please nothing else happen.
that's fair.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, like, oh god damn.
You are all welcome for your heavy news
Yeah.
of the day.
Yeah,
yeah,
Jeez, you
right?
stole my job, Kat. Come on.
Can we?
What am I gonna do now?
Are we cool to move on to something a little more lighthearted?
Please, for the love of God, my heart hurts.
Yeah. Okay, Nat, please take us away.
Shazam! We have Shazam casting news.
Yes.
Like lighthearted superhero, the big red cheese, as they call him.
Yeah.
The
I mean,
red cheese.
The big red cheese.
I
Yeah,
mean,
the big
he-
red cheese ball.
He
Oh,
is,
that
he,
makes
is,
sense.
he is 10 years old, so you know.
And that's okay. So here we go.
Okay, so taking us away once again.
Yeah. So we have Asher Angel has been cast as Billy Batson. So the 10-year-old boy who says the magic word Shazam and transforms into what used to be Captain Marvel, but is now Shazam. And Shazam has been cast as Zachary Levi.
Are just for those of us not familiar, are Asher Angel and Zachary Levi well known for any other things, or is this kind
Zach
of like-
Levi is well he played one of the Warriors 3 in the 2 most recent Thor films, but he's most known for Chuck, the TV show that I think was on.
I know what you're talking about.
Was it TNT? Like I don't remember what network.
He was
it
like a spy who didn't know he was
Yeah,
a spy or something like
yeah.
that.
And then Asher Angel's on like a Disney show.
Oh, he's like a Disney star.
Yeah, so, but he's 15.
Really?
So he looks very young. So
He does.
I'm
I
wondering,
thought, like, when I looked at the pictures, I'm like, oh, look how cute. He's 12.
right?
He's
and
not 12.
he looks like he's the right age to do like a classic Captain Marvel story. I'm 100% in for these castings. They were so like
Are we gonna get like the classic like cyborg sort of appearance in it? Do you know that yet? Like
no,
how
I
he
hope
started?
nothing. I honestly give me 110% of lighthearted Billy Batson, lighthearted Shazam, and then dealing with a mad scientist and his monster society. Like that's the movie I want. And the director David S. Sandberg has said he's doing a lighthearted film, which would be great, especially with the DC continuity.
I mean,
of
considering like all it really is like you watched it, started with Superman, dark, and then you went to Batman versus Superman. I'm like, is there happiness in the world?
Right, yeah, Batman v Superman. It's like they closed the book on darkness and just said, "Here, eat this." It's a dark movie. It's a really dark movie.
We don't talk about
Do
that movie because it's upsetting.
do you want me to save my criticisms for after recording?
For
or-
Batman v Superman,
Yeah.
that's we can talk about that later.
Yeah. Okay.
Because
It's-
all we're gonna do is talk about how terrible it was, and we
Yeah.
just need to walk.
No, I like Wonder Woman and I like
Not,
Batman.
not in general. I just have like beef with its tonal arc and thematic arc.
Arc? Question mark. Anyway,
No, that's
I'm
mostly.
gonna like lay on the
because-
floor because I have to process that.
But yeah, no. What do you guys think of the Shazam casting? I really like Zach Levi. I think he's gonna have to bulk up, but that stuff can be done partially with CG, partially with the suit as well at this point in time. So
I
Shazam's
have
like
no
one of
idea who either of those people are, so I assume they can do well if they do well.
Shazam is one of those other heroes that once again kind of flies under my radar.
Oh, okay.
He usually sits in that closer to the mystic
Mhm.
area because of what he deals with, so I don't necessarily.
The
I
only
love.
thing I really know about Shazam is from Justice League War, and then
Let's
Yeah.
not.
and then also Young Justice.
Better. Young Justice interpretation of Shazam, much better.
Yeah.
That is more in line with the character.
Yeah.
This is what I have.
Shazam! Exactly.
That's all I know
Well,
about him is that he
it's-
says Shazam and his name is Shazam and
He used to be
Shazam.
Captain Marvel.
He used to be Captain Marvel.
Yeah, but
Shazam was the
Marvel
wizard.
definitely won the superhero battle in the
Yeah.
courtroom for naming rights.
Well,
No
Their names-
one won. They just DC just kind of said this is too confusing for fans, and like casual fans don't understand the difference, so we'll just go with Shazam.
Yeah, and it's not like Captain Marvel has another name. Like you can't go back to Ms. Marvel at this point.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
so
and that's
they're
that's
like,
one version of
"Please."
Captain Marvel, because then you also have Captain Marvel, which was the full Kree. Yeah. Anyway.
Okay. Well, speaking of DC movies going forward, I saw recently that the Warner Brothers motion picture president, Tommy Emmerich, if I'm pronouncing that, or Toby Emmerich, I don't know how to pronounce that, but he said that after Justice League comes out next year,
This year.
or this year, excuse me.
Mhm.
So basically, starting next year, they're going to just scrap all attempts at a connected universe in their, like a connected cinematic universe. Or not scrap all attempts, but they're not going to try to do Marvel anymore.
So DC and comic books, except now normal.
Yeah, basically, they're going to have 20 different They're going to have one different universe for every film that they make.
My understanding is what we have followed to this point as an existing cinematic universe with DC will not exist in its current form. That there will be allowed to have individual films that don't tie in directly with the continuity of other films, but there's already the groundwork for potential connectivity, and that will be part of it. But you're not going to be beholden to that as a filmmaker.
Yeah.
So
I think they're still going to have sort of a central type universe,
right.
but not like try to make every single film in that universe.
Which is probably a good thing.
Yeah.
The Marvel paradigm became such a everybody in Hollywood wants to do this, and what we wanted to see was a Justice League film. I mean, really, that's the big thing was we wanted to see these characters get together. And
Well, the
do
thing
a
was, is
Justice
DC was
movie.
just like trying to run, as stupid as it sounds, run before they could walk.
Yeah.
Marvel's been doing
Yeah.
this for how many years?
Well, and DC
or
almost
not
almost
Disney.
a decade at this point.
Yeah, they've been doing it for a while. DC's like, oh, gotta catch
Well,
up.
well, and they made the mistake of a good film, if Man of Steel, making that the central point for a world-building universe. When watch Man of Steel again, that was never the intent of that film. That was an exploration of what a superhero is in our time and what we feel as an audience in that reality. It was also an alien invasion movie, which was and great. I love Man of Steel. I will defend Man of Steel.
Oh my God! Thank you. I'm not alone.
It's a great movie. It is not the centerpiece to start a universe.
No.
They saw they had something good, and they had a great actor in Henry Cavill, and they tried to run with that, and that's unfortunate. I hope we still get good movies. I hope Wonder Woman was fantastic. So if we can get anything, I'm so excited for Aquaman. The people behind that movie, there's a lot there. So let's hope this is good news. I'd like, for me, this feels like good news to just see good movies again.
Yeah, like instead of trying to spend so much time figuring out how we will fit this into it.
Yeah, clicking on
Marvel,
mouse icons that Lex Luthor made of all the different characters in Batman v Superman.
Yeah, because
Please don't make me flip my laptop.
Yeah, because Marvel probably has a whole staff of writers and researchers that are just dedicated to make the connectivity to it, and DC is still
well,
not
like I
quite
said,
there.
they're trying to
But
run
they don't
after
need to
them.
be there at all.
No, they don't.
And the fact that they're trying to do a Marvel thing, I think people were just sad that DC Comics, since it's such seminal publisher, was just trying to copy their
Well, that was-
rival.
For the, speaking as a DC fan, that was infuriating. I'm like, you spend all this time smashing with them all the time, and you don't even, and you're not even using your own idea at this point.
Right.
Yeah.
Come on.
And I'm a Marvel fan, and so I like what they're doing with their universe. But I was like, DC, don't either do it properly and better, and like spend the time and effort to like actually make this universe the universe,
Mhm.
or don't do it at all. And like the fact that they're choosing the latter, totally fine option. But like I'm kind of sad that it took them this long
Right.
to figure out that they want to do their own thing.
I think something that they can do and that they've shown they can do is visual connectivity. I can't think of a better term for this. That there's a visual style to the DC films, and I like it because it's this
Yes.
sort of like subversive reality that is present. Even in Wonder Woman, which is such a light film, it does feel as if you put Wonder Woman next to Batman v Superman, it does feel like they exist in the same universe, and they wouldn't have to have characters that appear in both films. They
Yeah.
do, but if you just watch them surfacefully, there's a visual connective element there that's like they feel like they're almost like a shade is thrown above our eyes that they're part of the
Yeah.
same universe.
No, they all have like a very similar film style.
Yeah, and I think you could do that. Just have
And-
them feel like, oh
yeah.
yeah, you put these movies next to each other.
Yeah,
and
just
they feel
use
the same.
just use this camera to shoot that
Yeah.
movie, and it will be a DC movie. I mean, it's like I kind of think about that too. It's like the comic books. Like if you read a DC comic book, they have very similar art in most of their comic books. Or at least I would say.
I will
Like,
not have this discussion.
Not in,
I was like, don't.
not in their
Please
not
don't.
in their one-offs and short series and
Mhm.
like other things, but in their like series proper, most of their
They have a
especially their
house
big
style.
especially their big titles,
Okay.
I should say, have a similar
Okay.
style
I can
He's
I can
right
see where you're
about
going.
that.
of artwork.
He's definitely right about
It's
that.
it's the Jim Lee style kind of
Mhm.
aesthetic.
Yeah. So
Okay.
okay, but beyond from that, so I guess continuing with DC news, Dwayne Johnson officially going to be in Suicide Squad 2 as Black Adam.
Not officially.
I thought it was officially. So this isn't news. I'm totally
so
just like
It
talking
is.
out my ass.
It's a discussion point that somebody overheard in a conversation that he was supposed to be Black Adam, may be the MacGuffin of Suicide Squad 2. That
Okay.
they are supposed to be searching for a weapon of mass destruction, and that weapon of mass destruction is Black Adam. So that would
Okay.
be a character intro. But until we hear it from Rock's, like his camp officially,
Campaign.
his campaign, Rock for president.
I mean,
Oh, God.
dude, you had the best slogan. I will vote for you.
I won't because the president of the United States is not a popularity contest. We're not having this discussion.
Anyway, yeah, but what this means really is that it's a definite that Rock is once again fully invested in whatever the DC universe of films will be. He is a part of it as Black Adam because there was some discussion at San Diego Comic-Con that his schedule was too tight that they couldn't fit him in. So I don't think he's going to be in the first Shazam film. And I actually think that's smart. I think you introduce Shazam first. You introduce the Wizard. You get all of that mythology.
But yeah,
down.
because then because Black Adam's his like big foe, right?
Yeah, that's his number because it's the failure of the Wizard. That's really what the story is that Black Adam starts as a hero and becomes a dictator.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's what I thought too, because that's like his big hero. That's his big bad.
His big bad, his opposite.
His arch nemesis.
His big hero is sick. Yeah, sorry. I was trying to do, like,
Big hero 6.
Yeah. Okay.
I got that.
Done.
But I think
nerd.
Suicide Squad has elements I enjoy in the movie.
I walked out of that movie kind of like, I don't know, did I like it? But then like the other part of me, like my friend's like, you just liked it because of Harley Quinn. I was like, that is not the point. I have seen movies with more ass shots, but in that movie there were a lot of ass shots.
I think her ass got more screen time than like Killer Croc. And
I'm pretty
definitely,
sure it did.
Definitely more than Captain Boomerang.
Definitely more than Slipknot too.
Definitely more than Slipknot. Okay, favorite part of that film for me, hands down. Hey guys, I'm Slipknot. Remember me? I've been here the whole time, even though I appear 35 minutes into the movie and exit 5 minutes from now.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure that. Yeah, that entire movie, I just kind of walked out of there numb.
I gave it a 79.5. Depending on your grading style, it will be a B or a C.
I love it. That's great.
All right, that'll stick. Stick with it.
Oh, yeah.
if this is true news and it does come out that this is the MacGuffin, I think this is a really this would be a funny and fun way to tell the story because then you have the supervillains fighting a worse supervillain and trying to contain him.
Yeah.
That would be cool. That should have been the plot of the first fucking movie because they should have been going after Joker and that would have been. Sorry.
No,
Rant.
I mean, have I told you my plot for Suicide Squad 1? What I expected it to be going in, even though I was like, okay, it's going to be like, very sort of cut and dry. Like the first 30 minutes is going to be like basically the backstories of the superheroes.
I love the music in that movie though. I'm just saying.
Music is good, and then like the second act was going to be a montage of them going on missions. Then Joker captures Harley. Third act, Suicide Squad goes back to recapture Harley. Boom, done. Cut and dry, like plot for movie. And it wasn't even that like stereotypical of a plot. And I was like, God damn.
I know, that was a movie that would have been served better to have a stereotypical plot.
Mm-hmm.
Because even the character moments were what we wanted to see. We wanted to see how everybody interacted.
And that's
My
that's
dad
really
actually
what I
watched
missed.
that movie and he liked it. He's like, oh, I really like she's the one that you like a lot. And I was like,
Harley.
And he's like, Harley Quinn, she was hilarious. Every time she talked, I always laughed. And I was like,
And then
I'm a little proud right now. And then there's some disappointment. I'll have to say
biggest thing with that movie, and I know I already said this, but there was no montage of like different missions.
Yeah.
Like that's what I was.
It was
expecting.
like they got together for that one mission.
They got together for that one mission, and you can't have like a Suicide Squad without establishing what their squad's purpose is.
Yeah. You know what? All this discussion actually makes me more excited for a sequel film because you have we already saw their formation.
Yeah.
So now you can do that montage in the early part of the film.
You can make that first like pre-credits.
Yep.
Or like maybe first 10-15 minutes.
Or during the credits, you do the montage.
I just want to see Harley Quinn kick Joker in the face. That's about it. That's all I want.
But
okay.
You want to keep going with DC then?
Yeah, I'm done with like Marvel and DC news, so let's keep it rolling.
Not officially announced, but pseudo-officially announced is Batman Wonder Woman by Liam Sharp. This has been listed as an ongoing series starting in February. Fingers crossed that this has nothing to do with normal continuity. I just want to see Liam Sharp draw Batman and Wonder Woman side by side, kicking the shit out of some people. Like, this would just be really, really sweet. He was one of my favorite aspects of the beginning of the Rebirth of Wonder Woman run was the fact that you had Liam Sharp doing the art on the current stories and Nicola Scott doing the art on the year one stuff, and it was just this perfect pairing of lightheartedness and then like gritty fantasy. So I love this idea. I am 100% for a Batman Wonder Woman comic book, being my two favorite superheroes. So I'm on. That sounds great.
Nat Man for the Batman.
Nat Man for the Batman.
Yeah.
And Diana.
Nice. And Diana.
Can't forget her. She's the second half of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I would prefer if it was titled Wonder Woman Batman.
Yes.
So we'll see what
They'll alphabetize in here.
Or Wonder Bat Woman Man.
I see this.
Oh, that's cute.
I see this. Sorry, I was in thought. And I go, well, finally, fucking DC. I am cursing a lot. I'm sorry.
Hey, that's my job. Both of you are stealing my jobs today.
Do I even
do anything anymore?
You've melded into us. After the success of the Wonder Woman film, why are we not putting top creators on Wonder Woman? So thank you, DC, for putting Liam Sharp back on Wonder Woman.
You good?
Yeah, it drives me nuts when I see that comic book and I see readership down from a retailer's perspective, and I go, why are these people on this book? You had Greg Rucka and this awesome art team.
Well, it was depressing because I was going to start reading Wonder Woman. I was like, oh yeah, I finally get single issues of Wonder Woman. This is freaking terrible.
Yeah, they missed the button.
I'm just like, and
well, and it's like right now they're doing a storyline about Wonder Woman's brother. That's exactly what everybody asked for. We needed a story about Wonder Woman's brother. Moving on.
What does he have for us, Cal? More than that?
Well, I have more DC news.
Okay.
So, Brian Michael Bendis has officially announced that he will be leaving Marvel Comics to sign a multi-year exclusivity contract with DC.
It's really interesting. Like from a Marvel fan standpoint, I'm like kind of sad because like he's writing a couple of my favorite titles right now.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like, dude, it's like he can't do it all. Like
Whoa.
it's stagnating a little bit, and I think that putting some fresh people on Spider-Man, Iron Man, Jessica Jones.
I wonder what happens with Jessica Jones. Like that's a big
And
one.
yeah, that's true. Like that
Character he
that's
created.
that's my big one, and Spider-Man too.
Oh yeah, that's right. He created Miles Morales. I forget like the existence of the two Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, I just refer to Miles
as
Morales as Spider-Man because to me he's Spider-Man,
That's
and yeah, so like that will be interesting to see what happens on that. Although like as much as
Does
I
it
love,
say which ones he's going to be writing? Or
So
just...
there is false news out, and he actually addressed this on Twitter last night, early this morning, saying everything that says official on it is not true. Wait for the announcements, and he put in parentheses the S. He wants to make sure that everybody understands there's going to be multiple titles that he's working on, but they will be announcing that soon. So he's like, wait for the announcements.
I mean, I think that would be really cool if he just does like what he did for Marvel and just creates a couple new like legacy type superheroes.
I think that'd be great.
Yeah.
Actually.
You know, like if he does like Miles Morales and Ironheart style, where he just like is like, here's the great superheroes that you love, and here's their proteges for
I would like
years down the road.
like a side one of Wonder Woman's sidekicks. I would like one of those.
Okay, so I was cold on this news initially because Bendis was part of what I refer to as superheroes sitting in the corner contemplating reality storytelling. So you lose like the operatic nature of superheroes, and then I went back into like the bibliography of the stuff that he's actually worked on, and I remember things like Ultimate Spider-Man and New Avengers, and the fact that he writes detective stories like Powers really, really well. And immediately in my head, the first thing I went to is, why aren't we putting him on Detective Comics? Like, why don't you put and do a dark, hard-boiled Batman series to coincide with the adventure stuff that's happening in Batman? You put a true detective story in Detective. And then you pair him with a.
You could very easily take his writing style, but Jessica Jones, and translate that into Batman. All you have to do is take out the bottle of whiskey.
Catwoman would actually be another great one for him. There isn't an ongoing Catwoman title right now. That would be really, really interesting. The other one though, you talk about Legacy and you talk about Troa, Titans.
That's true. I actually don't really care for Titans very much.
And not Teen Titans, but definitely like Dick Grayson, Donna Troy, Wally West. Give him the keys to those characters who are part of the history of DC and the history of comics in general. You know, the establishment of Legacy is from that Teen Titans group that is now the Titans. So that would be really cool. Or like you said, introducing something new, like a new Legacy character. Who would you want a Legacy character built from?
As not a DC fan, like Batman already has so many proteges. Superman has the new Superman right now, who I hope becomes his sort of legacy character.
And he also has his son.
And he also has his son. Wonder Woman would be an interesting thing, but don't they have
Donna Troy?
Yeah.
Wonder Girl.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, they also have Cassie as well as Wonder Woman.
Yeah. So.
Isn't there technically 3?
Hippolyta was Wonder Woman for a while, so that would reverse. Hippolyta, I'm sorry.
And then they have like four like main Green Lanterns already. And then
DC's been built on Legacy, so it'd be kind of hard to like.
Unless he wants to go after an anti-hero.
Maybe I was just thinking actually as you said that, like a Slade Wilson protege.
But he has 2 kids. He has Ravager and Judith.
Oh yeah. What about and here's one we haven't seen a legacy of. What about Cyborg?
Interesting.
Yeah.
That would definitely it would go with DC's agenda of pushing Cyborg into being one of the top tier characters.
Yeah, because he's so far he doesn't have a main title.
He does.
He does have.
Oh, he does
Yeah,
currently.
Cyborg has not ongoing.
Oh, okay, never mind. I'm dumb, but like he
Well,
he doesn't have a sidekick. He's one of the few main
Well, it's
titles
because
that
he's
doesn't have a sidekick.
It's because he's
or
always
legacy.
been a Titan and
Yeah.
or Teen Titan, and then all of a sudden now he's a.
You could do something really interesting with him where he creates his own AI, like a life that he springs from
Yeah, that
his
would
materials. And
that would be really interesting, and he could start off as something potentially dark or whatever,
Yeah.
and then going into something interesting.
there was another character that was suggested that would be kind of a parallel to Alias and Jessica Jones, and I cannot for the life of me think about
I
who
mean,
that might be.
the only thing that I thought of that was close, and she's not even close, was Batwoman, but
I don't know.
that's just self-centered at this
right.
point. Because
that, I mean,
Batwoman.
that could be a good selling point, especially coming off of the interesting dichotomy of the portrayals with the character in Detective Batwoman and then in Nightly New Order. So
Mhm.
filling in like a gap of what the character can morph into.
Yeah.
Is there like a sarcastic female type in
DC.
Of course, I would be the person I would look to.
Yeah. Yeah, do they have a Jessica Jones equivalent?
Right.
I don't think they really do, to be honest, because I mean, Batwoman's not sarcastic. She's just snarky /
Right.
bitchy. Like she doesn't care.
She has the authority.
I mean, I guess like Mother
Right.
Mechanic would be like one of the
You're-
closest.
But we wouldn't. I don't want to take Jodie Hauser out there.
No.
That doesn't make sense.
No. I completely
that-
agree
would
with
that
that,
book
but
need
she's
a new arc?
she's
Yeah.
just the closest character I can think
Mm.
to
And even
Jessica Jones.
yeah, and
Okay,
even
I'm not suggesting at all. Jodie Hauser, keep doing what
Yeah.
you're doing. Please forever.
Please.
Punch your artist right now in the throat, and then keep doing what you're doing.
Maybe we're just musing too much at this point. in
Yeah,
time.
right.
I think we are.
But I think this certainly sounds like we're more excited about this than not, which is
Yeah.
I mean it's a good thing.
Yeah,
and
actually
that's-
talking about it, I'm more excited than when I initially heard the news. I was like, cool, he's gonna be writing new books like he always does.
Right, but
But
there's
now
just so
I'm
much
like,
potential. Like what?
Yeah.
And we're probably like the announcement's going to be made. We're like, oh crap! That's amazing.
Yeah,
Like,
that's what it's gonna be doing. Oh my god, no way.
So,
Everybody
Yeah.
starts dabbing.
Yeah.
well, there was some talks from Scott Snyder that he said he's looking forward to working with.
Yes.
So,
Yes!
so that may mean we are dealing with something in the Batman
How many pairs of pants would you have to go through if Stepan Secek and
Oh my-
Brian Michael
nope,
Bendis started working together?
Where's my hat? I don't know what else you need.
Stepan Sage.
Stepan Secek. I'm sorry, Stepan Secek.
His Twitter account is
Yeah.
actually how to pronounce his name. Awesome.
Okay, well.
It knocked my hat off.
Do we have? You have more news, right?
I have more news, not DC or Marvel though.
Okay, so let's one last Marvel news, and we'll see what this kind of rise gets out of everybody. There's a new X-Men title coming. It's called X-Men Red, and it's going to be led by
God.
the resurrected Jean Grey.
No more X-Men!
Let's just stop. I don't care. I've never cared about X-Men, and this makes my caring like into the negative. Like
They're
my
gonna run
caring
out of
currently is
colors
0.
before they run out of X-Men.
X-Men Magenta.
X-Men Tangerine. X-Men Violet.
X-Men Tangerine sounds delicious.
Oh, new drink for cafe. Anyways.
Okay, so don't give a fuck. How about you, Kat? Got any more Marvel news?
Stop making X-Men comics! I'm good.
We're doing out of continuity stuff because I really feel
Yes!
DC's doing an amazing thing with having Batman and having Detective Comics and then having all of these miniseries that are an absolute blast.
Yeah, no, that's true. Give us
No.
miniseries solo titles.
Yep. Oh yeah. I know
Yeah,
we'll talk about that in the
stop
next episode.
X-Men. If it's being led by Jean Grey, why is it the X-Men? Just throwing that out there.
Ex-ladies.
Yeah, you know. Yeah, why not like
Whoa.
That's me.
why not have an X-Women title? Like, wouldn't that be dope?
That would be way more kick-ass.
That would be
Yeah.
a much better title than X-Men Red.
Yeah,
They're
let's
not
just
even
have
using like.
I don't
They're
know.
Just
still
have
in
it-
primary colors,
I
man.
don't-
let's just have an all-female team like they tried to do with A-Force
That's
and
actually
was
probably
really
cute.
good until
Everybody's still upset. Just stop making more X-Men titles. I don't want to see another goddamn book about
Okay.
X-Men in some comic.
Anyway,
Well,
No.
here's some good news that especially you will like, Matt. I heard that Taika Waititi, the director of Thor Ragnarok, he's not official on this yet, but he has made some very strong comments about directing the live-action Akira movie. Yeah, so they are making a live-action Akira adaptation, and his quote...
God, they're trying.
Yeah, they don't have a director yet, obviously, so Taika was talking about doing it, and his quote from this was, "Don't adapt animes that are already made and perfect, adapt the comic books into a new movie." So, yeah, it's a crazy idea,
I
I
just bought this
know.
laptop. I can't throw it.
Don't, yeah, so he's basically like, if I made it, which I'm not technically doing right now, I would not reshoot the anime shot for shot because that's a stupid idea. I would actually like take the comic books and make my own movie.
At least that's what he's doing, and he's not like, this is Death Note. Just fucking kidding. This is garbage.
Yeah. Well, that's where Death Note went wrong too. Is they tried to reshoot the anime basically just in like a different setting, and it didn't work. It's not an adaptation of the comic books. It's an adaptation of an adaptation.
And this is why it worked so well. Was they went back to
Yeah.
adapt the book. The miniseries exists on its own. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
So if this happens, and I'm trying to find some information right here. Akira as a comic book, I believe, is 6 volumes.
Yeah.
And that's something that certainly means that they would probably be looking at a series of films if they're going to do it. Because 6 volumes adapted into one movie. I've only read the 3/4 of the first volume of Akira, and I was like, oh my god, this is so different from the movie. All of these things are happening. So
I can't handle it!
Exactly. And that's the thing. I don't know how you do this, but he's also said that he wanted to use Asian actors as well and set it in Neo Tokyo.
What?
So,
using Asian actors for something set in Asia?
I know, strange. Which is
Yeah.
great. I feel like this is such a pipe dream. Although now that Thor Ragnarok has made a boatload of cash,
That movie was really good. I actually don't normally care for Thor very much, but I actually enjoyed that movie.
We'll
Okay,
have that
we'll
discussion
save
here
it.
pretty
We'll
soon.
save it for a sec, yeah.
But that's also, I'm excited about this. This sounds great. I would love to see some official announcements. I want to just be on it and make a statement.
More news. Either of you?
No.
No, I got
Okay.
nothing.
Okay, I just have one last bit of news, and that is we got to see the first poster of Jodie Whittaker as the Doctor
Yeah!
for the new series in her like
Oh, no.
really like spunky kind of outfit, I
Spunky,
guess.
quirky.
We hit this moment in time where you hit Cat's weakness, which was sci-fi. So I'm like,
Yeah.
her outfit's cool. I know nothing about Doctor Who, and I don't have time for that.
Yeah,
I will
mean,
say
she's
you don't have
basic-
time for that.
she basically has
Not
like
many
the
people
David
do.
Tennant style trench coat with
I'm pretty sure I saw
t-shirt and
like suspenders.
suspenders.
Yes, I did see suspenders.
And they were like, I think they were rainbow suspenders too.
Yeah,
Which I thought was
yeah.
Really cool.
It was a vertical striped shirt with
I'm not
horizontal
saying that I
striped
want her to be gay, but I'm
suspenders.
saying I want her to be gay just because of the
I
suspenders.
don't. Okay. Here's and now we're gonna go into
Just
the plot.
because of the suspenders? Because apparently gay people have a
Hold on.
monopoly of suspenders.
On
This-
Rainbow Star.
Okay.
I have to make a statement about this as a Doctor Who fan. It's impossible for the Doctor to be gay because the Doctor is not of any specific
That's
sex.
true.
That is true.
The Doctor exists. He's a different race entirely.
They
They
are a different
are
race.
The
Right.
Time Lords are not necessarily female or male.
That's true. Fair enough.
Yeah, that's
And that's why it makes sense to present the fucking Doctor as a woman.
Yeah, that's
we
why.
had this discussion before when
That's
it was
why in
first
all the
announced.
recent series they've not even gotten ever close to like a kiss.
Yeah, but you know who makes sense? River Song. That whole thing was perfect.
Yeah, no,
That
that was the like female romantic story arc that you needed, and
That
it turned out
actually
in the
worked.
end like that would never work because of specific reasons and
Mhm.
spoilers. For those of you who have not seen Doctor Who.
But what a lovely storyline.
I don't sleep.
We
I
didn't have
can't.
perfect time to watch Doctor Who.
I'm busy.
But yeah, I did see a funny comment that was like, because like it was like a perspective shot with her standing in the foreground and the TARDIS in the background, and somebody was like, "No, that would never work. This is totally illogical. The TARDIS is way too small for her to stand into."
That's awesome.
It was like
It's bigger on the inside, okay?
Yeah, that was one of the replies.
Oh,
to the
nice.
comment. Yeah, but it was.
I
It
don't
was
know,
a
the
play
fact that
on.
she has like rainbow suspenders, I'm a little jazzed. That's pretty good.
She has a great, like,
Just-
quirky look.
Jazz suspenders.
A lot of people are saying that she's reminding them of Tom Baker.
Mm.
Like, there's just something about her look that's very, like, strange and just sort of like, well, an alien,
Yeah.
which is what you want.
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, we're coming off of what was one of the darkest looks for the Doctor
With Peter Capaldi.
yeah, with Capaldi, so.
Yeah, definitely like the grittiest actor to play
Mhm.
Doctor Who yet.
Which, you know, that had a time and a place.
Mm-hmm.
Although I wish we had more John Hurt Doctor, I will say that.
Fair enough. Or apparently it wasn't like not Idris Elba, but wasn't somebody. I want to say Idris Elba was like in talks of doing the Doctor.
I would watch that show in a
I
heartbeat.
know, no, right?
Good lord. Speaking of Idris
speaking
Elba.
of Idris Elba, let's get into our discussion topic: Thor Ragnarok. So I was telling Kat actually after the movie. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, spoilers.
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
sure we're gonna go into it.
Spoilers ahead.
Spoilers.
I'm pretty
Been
sure,
warned.
but I'm pretty sure that Idris Elba, Jeff Goldblum, and Anthony Hopkins all just play themselves in that movie. Like I can
If
totally
they
see
don't.
like Idris Elba just like going to work like, oh, it's an army of the undead. Let me get
Yeah,
out my
right.
double like sword and start
That's
fighting it.
amazing.
And Anthony Hopkins is basically Odin.
Yeah, he's just does Shakespeare and that's
Yeah.
it. I'm like,
Yeah,
it's-
He's just like sits and
He's
like
just gonna do a monologue
couch,
and-
like
Yeah.
fed by like grapes, like in his spare time, like that's what he does at his house. And then
That's
of course
amazing.
Jeff Goldblum just like owns a planet. you
That
know?
that is probably
The-
the most believable
the-
one because all I could think of like in that role was him in not in Star Trek in Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's what happened to Dr. Ian Malcolm. He
Yeah.
decided to buy a planet.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
actually happened.
Yeah, time works really weird.
Yeah.
I'd be like
Because
a million.
guys, life happens.
Life finds a way. Yeah. Okay, so my big review of Thor Ragnarok, I really liked it as a movie. The exposition in it was really rushed and really random. The dialogue was super on point.
Yeah.
So much.
It's one of the best written, I think, dialogue heavy films.
Yeah,
But
I would totally agree.
I have a problem with it as a movie. Like it's super
Okay, how so?
amazing. Okay, this is gonna be like the weird, like I'm fucking standing in a soapbox, hoity-toity, twiddling my mustache.
I got my hat ready. Ready for throwdowns.
I loved watching the movie. I think it's a great theatrical experience. I feel like nothing happened. Like when I sit down and go, they destroyed Mjolnir, and yeah.
I mean, like, what would you have wanted to happen?
I don't know. Like the movie felt so fast. Like there was it didn't slow down enough to get any character beats, with the exception of Valkyrie. Like Valkyrie was the only person who was developed in the story. Everybody else is the same as they were at the beginning as they are at the end. It's
Yeah.
just it. That was, and it's fun to watch. It was as
I have Led Zeppelin in my head
the music
now.
was like all of it. It was like going to the candy store and just having this overload of sugar, and then being like, "Wow, I feel like my stomach hurts, but I don't want." I would have never done that differently. Like I still would have got in there and ate all the candy because I
Yeah.
don't care.
That's a really great analogy. Well, I would say since like basically the only characters that had like arcs in it were the three Revengers. The Thor, I feel like he's already been established as a character.
Yeah.
And like basically the whole movie is kind of like him sort of like trying to come to terms with losing Mjolnir, but like not being able to because of the events in the movie.
Well,
and then
okay.
like Valkyrie does get a arc, and then I do feel like Bruce Banner definitely gets a little bit of a character arc since he was like trapped in the Hulk for 2 years.
I still
Not
have the
the arc that he
feelings
should have gotten.
that Banner never fully transforms back into Banner. They like the way that they portray him is almost like he's still like childlike when he's as Banner. So I don't feel like I'm not sure we actually saw Banner in the movie. I think that he's just kind of this weird in between stage.
Like a small Hulk.
Yeah, like he's calmed Hulk instead of being Banner outside of.
Well, I mean that would make sense considering he jumps out of like a
Oh,
plane
yeah.
100 feet above the ground and
Right.
survives.
Like there's a lot of that, and then like him being all goofy and putting the sunglasses on. He's like, I'm Tony Stark.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah.
like there's a lot of weird elements to it. And like I said, I enjoy watching the movie. I will own this on Blu-ray, and I honestly think the first 15 minutes of the film is the best Thor movie we've ever got. It was like straight out of comic moments. It was.
I just love the fact. Wait. All right, continue.
Wait.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
And-
that was like probably one of the best things ever. I swear I'm not doing this on my
Like it's just doing
own.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that like whole sequence, and then we get the Mjolnir cam, so we're like following the camera, shooting around
Oh
the
yeah,
block.
yeah. That was such a cool scene when he was going in circles with him at the center of it. That
So I
was
have
an
motion
amazing shot.
sickness, so that happened, and I was like, I'm
Taika Waititi, amazing cinematography.
Amazing cinematography.
Amazing cinematography.
Amazing actor as well.
The delivery on that is, he's mine after I finish this. One of the best character intros, I think, just in
One
general.
of the best characters just in general. Give me a freaking Valkyrie movie. I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's true.
I don't know. I still like the big baddie. I don't know.
I don't dislike Hela.
I thought she was a fucking badass.
No, she was awesome.
Like
I
the
will-
sheer like her fighting style in that movie. Of course, the cinematography comes into play that.
Right.
But like
Yeah.
her fighting style, like
I think
elegant but extremely ridiculous.
I wanted more from her, like, and I wanted it to slow down a bit.
Yeah.
Like, because honestly, the idea of her and Valkyrie having history and that whole that
Yeah.
sequence, I could have watched that as like a 15-minute part of the movie.
Mhm.
And been
Yeah.
much more interested in that. I
Special edition.
Right. well, and there's some like weird continuity stuff, and like I think just as a super nerd, that bothers me is like.
Thor's another one of the blind spot ones. So.
Right. Well, Mjolnir itself, it was always mentioned as being a creation for Thor's, but clearly in the artwork, Hela wielded Mjolnir at one point,
Yeah.
and which makes sense as to why she can destroy it. Like it's nothing.
Mhm.
I will say my favorite part of the movie, and this is such a sweaty comic book nerd thing, is when
Hold on, let me adjust my
Right.
glasses.
is when Hela appears, she fucking steps out of a Jack Kirby drawing. Legitimately, there's black Kirby dots, and they actually have them be just like black spheres of ooze, and she literally walks out of a Kirby circle.
Oh yeah.
I was
that's
like-
true. I didn't even
I'm just
notice
sitting in the theater going, wow.
Oh,
You know, like, it was
Who
so
I can't
visually
remember
perfect.
who's the one who played her because she did a kick-ass
Take
job.
my check.
Dude, oh my god.
From Galadriel to Hela.
Like, I was just like, you a bitch.
She's amazing. I can't believe how young she looks. Like she
I was just like, you can kick my ass anytime.
50, if not already.
But also she like has the perfect like look for that because she looks young in like a lot of shots, but then like also looks like ancient.
right,
I think
exactly.
I think the thing is with her though is kind of what I noticed is it's the eyes.
Mm.
Because her face is extremely young looking, but her eyes, man,
Yeah.
they sell you
Yeah,
on
that is true.
Yeah.
like
The old soul.
hmm
So I mean, super fun. What was your overall thoughts? I mean, you really haven't said anything.
I mean, I thought it was great. Like I said, I love the villain in it. Like she's probably one of my like I kind of wanted to go like Wikipedia search last night and actually learn everything about Hela because I thought she was the like super kick ass.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, you had the Valkyrie. She was totally badass too, and I'm just like,
Oh my God.
I'm enjoying the fact that you had Wonder Woman, and then of course in the Thor movie, like I didn't give two shits about Thor. Like that entire movie, I was like either about Hela or I was about Valkyrie.
Is
Or
there a problem
Korg.
with the movie? Is it a problem with the movie that you really didn't give two shits about the lead character?
I would say it's not because it's more of a like world building. Like there's so much there's so much excess and there's so many like well built extra characters that you don't even technically need a main character in that
and that
movie.
was the
Even
thing.
though it's entitled Thor, it's more of like a Magnolia thing where there's 15 side characters and
That was kind of my thing too. Is like you saw more into the Thor universe, and I'm hoping that they're gonna bring back the Valkyrie because like she has to have.
She will be in Infinity War for sure,
Mm-hmm.
and she already went to Kevin Feige and said, "Where's our female-led superhero team?" And he said, "Okay."
Yeah.
Well, and that was my biggest thing is like I don't know it was awesome. Like I thought the most badass people in that movie and had the most badass scenes were the females. Like when Thor came out and did his stuff, I was like, that's badass. But like when they did their shit, like when she walks out in her armor, I was like, you a badass.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The gun joke in the airplane when they were in the spaceship where she has it between her legs and it's this giant freaking. My wife tapped me. She's like.
Yeah. Although there was very strong female leads for sure, it still didn't pass the Bechdel test. Like that's very sad for me.
The one thing I will say about this though is like I remember when this movie originally came out and the one who was playing the Valkyrie,
mm-hmm.
she actually had come out saying not every female superhero needs to be sexy, and she wasn't really sexy in that movie. She was just like
nope.
I never thought of her as any sort of like, oh wow.
She's hot because it's Tessa Thompson. I mean,
that's
just naturally gorgeous.
That's like my norm. It's like I see a person and think they're attractive, not she was painted up for me to think she was attractive.
She was completely covered.
Exactly.
I think the only bare thing she had was her arms, and she just looked like an Asgardian warrior.
Sorry,
exactly.
I guess I should have specified the Bechdel test isn't like a sexiness thing.
No, I just said like
the female character.
Fair enough.
Because I haven't, you don't see that very often, and so for me, I was like, thank you. Like, I'm not saying like Wonder Woman isn't exactly like dressed like that,
mm-hmm.
like a warrior like that, and I just remember those comments that she made that she's like, female superheroes don't have to be sexy. And I'm like, no, and I appreciated that much. Because they could have totally made that Hollywood and bullcrap and.
Yeah.
You know what I wanted more of now thinking and sitting and talking about it?
Wasn't really scantily clad. I mean, she was.
No, she was fully covered.
Yeah, she might have had like skin tight.
The only part was her shoulder, and not even down to the. It was just like a collarbone shot, basically.
I wanted more of the Hulk and Valkyrie relationship.
Because
it was very it was cute. It was this older sister helping out her little baby bro.
They're like best friends, man.
Yeah. Hey, big guy.
I wanted more of the gladiators, honestly. I wanted more of Corey and Meek.
Oh, Meek's dead, man.
It's like a Tony stepped on my head. I feel really bad. Oh my god.
So I can't carry him around.
Taika Waititi, please do voice acting for everything.
At that moment, I thought he was I believed him, and I was like, oh my god, that was dark.
Yeah.
He's just fucking carrying around a dead dude.
Well, that's still dark because he thinks he's dead until he comes back.
So this is the best part. So me and Patrick saw the movie at the same time, and Patrick's in the way front, I'm in the back. You heard the person say it, right? That's not funny.
Yeah, exactly.
Was that you?
No, somebody yelled it in the middle of the theater because I was in the back. Patrick's in the front.
Yeah, everyone's laughing, and then when it sort of dies down a little bit, some guy's like, "That's not funny."
Oh my god! Yeah, it was a really funny movie.
Yeah.
It was pretty good.
You were making, I think, a point about the Bechdel test.
Yeah, that one.
Oh yeah.
I got sidetracked.
Well, so for listeners that aren't familiar with it, it's a very simple test for media in which a piece of media will pass if it has two female characters in dialogue that are not talking about a man. It's a very simple test. Very, very, very few movies and TV shows especially pass. And it's very sad that it's so simple and few pass. I don't think that it even got to the first part where it had two female characters talking together.
Right.
I can't remember, except Jeff Goldblum's sidekick, leader of the guard. and her exchanging
But
like
she called her like a.
slight banter,
But
Yeah.
she's
but it wasn't
basically
a
just
conversation.
Did
It
Hela
was.
ever talk to Valkyrie?
I don't think so.
And
I
if she
don't
did,
think
she
they.
didn't answer.
I don't think they actually had a conversation. So the fact that this didn't even get to the and that's why I was so sad because like it does have such strong female characters in it, but it doesn't even get to like the first like stipulation of
Wow.
the Bechdel test. Not even the fact that like if they had a conversation, it would definitely be about Thor, Odin, or Loki. But like they didn't even get to the conversation part.
Wow.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah.
Now I can't watch movies anymore.
Yeah. No. I
Actually,
I,
they
I, wa- I
would've-
watched that.
If
think about
Hela
that every
and
time.
Valkyrie had that conversation, it would actually center around the Valkyries.
Yeah.
Like
That's
honestly,
true.
I don't think it would have. I think it would have passed had they had that conversation.
Yeah, because she would have.
It could have easily done
Because
it.
her motivation was for Asgard itself,
Yeah.
not and for the Valkyries specifically.
Yeah.
So.
No, it's a very and see that's the thing about the Bechdel test that makes it so sad is because it is so simple and it's not like a crazy thing at all. Just have two women
women having a
talking,
conversation.
not about a man.
Well,
I can never watch romantic comedy again.
Yeah, or
That's gonna be
movies
weird.
in general.
Pretty much.
I think about this every time I watch a movie or TV show, and it's like it's sad.
another quick aside in the movie, like the Doctor Strange scene.
Yeah.
Like, when the hell did Doctor Strange get that powerful?
He did it.
It was just like, snap his fingers, bye bye. You know, like
Apparently since like
the end of
the end
Doctor
of that
Strange.
movie.
And it was literally the sequence that was put at the end credits of Doctor
Mhm.
Strange plus like 5 more minutes of randomness.
Yeah, I think it was mostly just like, hey, Benedict Cumberbatch, would you like to be in this movie? Sure, why not? Okay.
Here's your paycheck.
Yeah, here's your paycheck.
Yeah, that's the kind of interconnectivity stuff that I'm excited that the DC universe won't have to do stuff like that.
Yeah,
Like, that
that's
was one of
true.
those moments-
like
and
gratuitous
I-
cameos.
Absolutely love Doctor Strange. Like, Doctor Strange may make it into top 3 of the Marvel movies for me. I
It
didn't
made me
need
want
that.
to vomit.
Yeah. No, like it was. I
Not from
see
the standpoint
why.
that it was bad, just like
Too much.
if I
I
saw
see
that
why
in
they
3D, I
needed
would
it because
I Matrix scene.
I see why they needed it because Heimdall was not present to do like his
Yes,
thing to
yeah.
see what it was, and so like I see his purpose in it. The length of the scene.
The length of the scene, and I
Was
think the scene was
unnecessary.
badly written. There's too many jokes in that one sequence. That was the one sequence that felt forced for me on the
Mhm.
jokey, like hearing all of the crashes of the, all of the.
I can honestly say I enjoyed that because he's just kind of like, are you breaking all my shit?
Yeah.
it lingered too long. Like, for as much comedy as there was, that was.
Well, that's the thing about like Taika's like comedy style is that it's about like timing and like extending
Okay.
like scenes that would be awkward into it's basically like the thing where you're like, haha, that's funny. Okay, it's still going. Haha, it's funny again because it's going for so long.
Right.
And so like
Holding on to something the third time.
yeah, basically. And that's where a lot of the humor in the movie is derived from. Like the chain spinning scene.
Yeah.
Like it's funny because it's so gratuitous and like, the amount that he's like or like all of his Korg stuff is basically like that's
Korg was so good.
that's the joke, like oh, it sounds like you really loved that hammer so much, and losing it was like just like the length of that like that bit of dialogue and like its delivery.
Behind you, Doug.
Yeah, behind you, Doug. Oh yeah, that's what Doug used to say all the time. Yeah, like just the amount
Hey,
he
I should introduce you to Doug. Oh yeah, Doug's dead.
yeah, but just like the extended and like the Doug joke too, like that's what made it so funny is because just like the length of like the amount of exposition about this character who's dead in the corner the whole
Right.
time.
And
is-
he's in the scene the entire time.
yeah, he is.
You don't even realize it till the end.
Until he points it out.
This was a really fun movie to watch. Like, talking about it, it's another one that's like, I really would love to go and watch it again and just have a good time. Like,
Yeah.
that's-
No, it's a fun movie. Go in expecting fun, and you will receive fun. So,
All right. Well, we
with
are.
that said, we're pretty over time. So,
Do we
Yeah.
want to try to rush through Jetsons?
I'd say let's
don't
save it for
think-
the-
Let's save it for the review.
Yeah,
Alright,
we'll
so-
save it for you guys on the other one since we're
Alright,
talking
So
about it.
tune in to 14.5.
Yeah.
We'll do some comic reviews.
All right. With that
Yeah.
said, bye.
Bye.